Now, if you're interested in finding which are the best altcoins to hodl, to trade in, I invite you to take a look at token metrics. Now, what you can see here in red is the actual price of Ethereum over the last year or so. But in blue, the blue dotted line is the predicted price using token metrics, artificial intelligence analysis, and also their human intelligence analysis. They have a great team of people who look at all the major projects and look and see where's the price likely to go. I invite you to use my affiliate link, bit.ly/token metrics discount, and you can trial it for a week for a few dollars. And should you decide to subscribe to a package, you get a significant discount if you use my affiliate link.
Hi everybody, this is Crypto Rich, working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with crypto profits. This video is a really entertaining and interesting conversation I had with Gordon Dimmock. Gordon Dimmock is a British journalist and commentator. I do recommend you subscribe to his channel for his very interesting perspective on politics and freedom. He's anti-censorship just like me. This video was posted on his channel, and with his permission I'm reproducing it on mine in 2 parts. And in this video we're talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and fiat money and the politics of it all.
Now, before I go on, I want to ask you to subscribe, comment, like, upvote. If you're watching this on YouTube, come over to BitTube, which is a censorship-resistant platform. You can also find me on Library and Odyssey and Bitchute. And please follow me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT. Join my official Telegram announcements channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and all that stuff, because that just helps my channel grow.
Hello, Rich. You're back, mate.
Hey, Gordon. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for coming on, mate. You were last on here. Let me just turn it down so you don't get. Hopefully that's the recording's okay. So last time you were here, we spoke in December before Christmas, about a week or two before Christmas, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we were talking obviously about Bitcoin and how Bitcoin had shot up, and it was at about £14,000, if I remember right. It was about $19,000, $20,000. What is it now, mate? 2 months on.
When I looked earlier this morning, and this is February the 13th, 2021, it was about $47,500.
Just over £34,000, according to my Exodus app, which I downloaded at your.
Very good.
And I've set up. So I've set up. You told me, was it a Litecoin, Bitcoin Hash, and Ethereum? I set up as well for. Nobody sent me any yet. I'll be very. all the links will go under this video, so I'll be very surprised. I'll be very interested to see if anybody sends me some crypto.
Yes, you should also set up an Ethereum address, although Ethereum's a little bit.
I've done that.
Right. Okay. So the links are in the description below. So if you want to support Gordon and the work that he does, send him some. And this is on his channel. Send him Bitcoin.
I should employ you to do my blurbs, mate.
Yeah, you won't find those links on my channel because I don't take donations.
So yeah, I downloaded that, and yeah, it's gone nuts. It's gone nuts, and all of my friends are like, Gordon, how do I buy Bitcoin? Mm-hmm. You know people in Bitcoin. How do I do it? How can I buy in Bitcoin and Dogecoin or Dogecoin or whatever it is? So yeah, the last 2 months since you came on, you basically were very excited as to what was going to happen, and it's happened.
Yes, still excited, Gordon. And I would say, if I can just plug my channel for people watching Gordon's channel, because it may also go out on my channel, I don't know, but definitely on Gordon's channel, you can find me on BitTube, BitTube.tv, which is a censorship-resistant platform, and you can earn cryptocurrency as well. There's Bitchute.com, you can find me on Library.com, which is library.io, and Odyssey.com, and also on YouTube. And you'll have the links in the description below, Gordon, and people can find out. And I've done a series with a guest, Crypto No Coiner. And he asked me questions like, what is Bitcoin? We did a little short video about that. How does it work? How do I get some? And we're going to do that. So invite people to go and find that out.
Great. Well, send me the link to that if you've got to that, and I'll put it under this video, and people can go there. And anybody who isn't, if I've got any friends or anything, say, Gordon, how do I go Bitcoin? I'll go to this video. The link's underneath, and go and listen to. Therefore, I don't have to explain it because I don't really know what it is. What I do know is it's going crazy, and the more what I've figured out, Rich, tell me if I'm wrong, is whenever they print money at the Fed, Bitcoin goes up.
Yeah. Well, everything goes up.
It's weird, isn't it?
But no, well, everything goes up. And I think when I was at high school, a can of Coke was 50 pence. How much?
Yeah, I won't give my age away. I don't know if I tell how much. Polos were 6 pence, I think.
It was shillings, right? You paid half a shilling for a can.
Not quite, but not far off.
No, but it isn't that Bitcoin has gone up in value.
It's that everything else is going down, you think?
No.
Or everything's going up?
When you increase the supply of something against declining demand, or the demand doesn't go up, then the value of the thing that you've increased, so they've increased the supply of fiat, of dollars and pounds and euros, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the demand hasn't gone up.
Yeah.
So the purchasing power of the fiat currencies, the central bank issued currencies, has gone down. That's all. One Bitcoin is equal to one Bitcoin. That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But the amount of paper that you need, the increase in the money supply, which is what inflation is, you need more paper to purchase one Bitcoin. It's kind of like, what's happened in Zimbabwe very recently, a few years ago, and regularly happens in Argentina. It's slower pace. It loses purchasing power.
Yeah, the Argentinians are good at that, aren't they? They've done it about 6 times, I think, in the last 100 years. It's like we're bankrupt again. Can we have some money again? We've lost it all. Don't know where it's gone. And they basically have done that about 4 or 5 times, from what I can tell. Now, so you say one Bitcoins are worth one Bitcoin, and they keep printing money at the Fed, and it looks to me, at least, like this is the end of Margaritaville. We've talked about this, where now the chicken, whenever they cut the chicken's head off, the only squares are print more money and quantitative easing. That's basically all they do now.
Yeah.
So if that's going to devalue the dollar.
Yeah.
So how long before the dollar isn't the world's reserve currency? How long before the world goes no? And if that happens, is Bitcoin going to be what everybody moves to, or something similar?
Well, the first question, how long before dollar is no longer the world's reserve currency? I don't know.
Well, it was 10 years ago they were saying it was dead.
The thing about
2008, it really died, didn't it?
Yep. Well, actually, it died much, much earlier with the launch of the Federal Reserve and through the fractional reserve banking system. But that's a whole other conversation. But the dollar is backed by something.
Petrol?
No. Well, no. It's backed by military might. So if Saddam Hussein wanted to sell oil in euros.
Okay, yeah.
That gave.
That's a fair point. All right. That's a really good way to look at it. It's backed with military might. You're right, because without that military might behind it, the dollar would have gone away a long time ago, wouldn't it?
That's right. Libya, the richest, best, most well-developed African nation. Gaddafi wanted to set up an African development bank that would bypass the IMF and the World Bank and have the Libyan dinar backed by gold.
Yeah.
Because of that. So off he goes. And then in both instances with Iraq and Libya, the gold's gone. Gold has gone offshore.
And this is happening the same in Venezuela, where they found a lot of American oil underneath their own soil. That America decided, no, that's ours. It's just underneath your, it's ours. It's happening in Venezuela. It's happening right now in Syria. It's happening in Iraq. They're trying desperately to overthrow Iran again. Isn't it a short-sighted way of looking at things? Can't it? Because it can't carry on like this forever, can it?
Yeah, but it's the hubris of imperial power.
So how can we stop it? Like if everybody in the planet were like you, and went, nah, sorry, we're going to put the money in Bitcoin. Because you explained to me last time you were on how, like, when you're putting money in the bank and when you're buying a share of a company, that's a vote. That's a vote to say, I trust this thing. So if more people put, here's the thing, in America at the moment, you've got this whole $2,000 checks. And I know you look at I know your politics are pretty much the same as mine. You can't really nail me down there, to be honest. At least, people have tried in the past and failed. But they got the $2,000 checks, and they keep pretending they're going to give it them and then take it away and whatever. What happens if they give $2,000 checks to everybody in America finally, or $1,400 or whatever Mr. Biden decides? They all just go, yeah, we're not going to spend this stimulus. It took too long. We're going to put it in Bitcoin.
That happened. That happened with the first stimulus check. Now, not everybody did, right? Because some people need the money to buy food, but the middle classes, those that have got a bit of spare, I'll get this, I'll use this to buy Bitcoin. There were many, many transactions in the days afterwards that were $1,200 worth purchases.
Isn't this just going to create the wealth gap even worse, though, Rich?
Yes and no.
Because the people who got the money who need to buy the food bought the food. And the people who got the money who didn't buy the food bought Bitcoin, or at least some of them did.
Yeah.
So the people who don't need the money, i.e., basically the richest 10%, I'm assuming that if you're in the bottom 90% now in America, you need the money for food and rent and light, etc. So the 10% are then, when Bitcoin does go to, as many people are expecting, $300,000, $500,000 a Bitcoin, they're going to be even. The wealth gap is going to be. I mean, it's Pharaoh level stuff now. It's going to be off the chart, isn't it?
It is going to be like that, right? But there's something different about cryptocurrencies, and now I'll talk about cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
What we've got is a government monopoly on the issue on value transfer.
Value transfer. So explain that.
That's what money is, right? That I exchange my time and effort for something with your time and effort for something, and then we use this unit of exchange. You spend 10 energy hours producing something, and then we use this unit of exchange to transfer the energy hours. That's what money is, right?
Yeah. So a unit of exchange. So you're talking about basically what all the economists talk about with a barter system. And then if I make shoes and I need forks, but the person who makes forks doesn't need shoes, we need some sort of currency exchange to be able to facilitate that transaction. Correct?
That's right. Now, currently, governments and central banks have a monopoly on that value transfer system between two individuals.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So we are subordinate to their rules. We have no say in the matter. What cryptocurrency makes available is the democratization and the decentralization of value transfer systems. So yes, one Bitcoin may be too expensive. I can no longer afford, or I'm willing to afford, to mortgage my house, wife, and children to go and purchase one Bitcoin, right? But I could go and purchase 100 Dogecoin.
Yeah.
Or some of the other cryptocurrencies. I could even set up my own local exchange mechanism. You may have heard local exchange trading schemes and everything, right? I could even set up my own local cryptocurrency for people in this part of the world to exchange in a way that's fully decentralized, that's transparent, that can't be censored, can't be controlled, and
can't be manipulated.
Nobody has any sort of ownership of it. So what you have is the democratization and the decentralization of the issuance and use of value transfer systems.
Wouldn't moving over in this way to and sort of taking control of our own currency? I heard one guy, I think it was last year, I've forgotten the guy's name now, although he might have got the saying from somebody else. The saying was brilliant. So I didn't come up with this. It was, Bitcoin will do for money what the internet did for information.
Yeah.
So, the problem that they've got at the moment with the information, you and I, we're sort of lefty libertarians, I suppose, and we're very pro free speech, both of us. And we've got a situation at the moment where the reason that they're clamping down so much on free speech and ideas, etc., is because they've lost control of the narrative. The information, because the genie's out the bottle with the internet. The information is out there. Yes, there's a load of crap out there, and you've got to sift through a load of rubbish. But eventually, if you really are, if you've got a brain in your head, you can figure out generally what the truth is on certain subjects. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that certain news stories in this country are absolutely untrue and fake news and promoted by the BBC and the Guardian, etc. And then they point their fingers and go, "Look, China, fake news, Russia, fake news." It's hypocritical. But the point I'm trying to make is, if we take this sort of, and we really do start implementing it and saying to the banking system, to everything, it's going to collapse it all for a start, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's going to be terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think
what is that going to look like?
I have no idea, but
See, you're advocating it, but if we do that, Rich, it's going to collapse things.
Well, it's going to collapse anyway.
And we get, it is. And when, we don't know. But what's going to happen then is hyperinflation, isn't it?
Yep,
a loaf of bread is going to be 100 quid, but 0.00001 Bitcoin or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
it's going to collapse anyway because of the money printing. Plus, also, hyperinflation is going to come because other governments are moving away from using the dollar as the reserve currency.
Yeah.
That is happening.
We can see this as well because China, Russia are buying gold like it's going, well, like there's a finite supply, which there is. Sorry, carry on.
Iran is transacting in Bitcoin. They've allowed for their certain power stations to mine Bitcoin. There's a province in Pakistan, which is the provincial government has set up its own Bitcoin mining farm. So there's a revenue stream for the provincial government. Now, when other governments see that, they're going to be like, okay, we want that as well. Because if any territory has gold, they're like, okay, we'll mine the gold. Well, any territory pretty much has Bitcoin because it's fully decentralized. And then I want to go back to the second question you asked earlier about the wealth gap that it's created.
Yeah, this is the thing, because when it does collapse,
you've got this decentralization and this democratization. So you actually have the opportunity. So for people at grassroots level,
pull themselves up a lot quicker than waiting for.
Plus, Gordon, I'm going to tell you a story in crypto which is completely wild, and I want you to know that what's happening right now is there is some serious wealth to be made, and I don't mean getting rich. I mean being wealthy out of the bull run that I think that we're just in the early stages of. And people got to check it out and do their own due diligence. And I'm not advocating that people should buy this particular cryptocurrency over any other. They got to check it out for themselves. Although I do think Bitcoin and Ethereum are pretty safe bets. So one, I'm a social worker, and I've actually gone back to social work, child protection social work. And the reason I've gone back is because of the YouTube shadow ban. I wanted cash coming in. I don't want to cash in any of my crypto holdings. In fact, I want to buy more crypto. So I don't have a pension. I'm educated. I'm middle class. I've done a fair amount of social work in my life, and because I don't think social workers have any union power. Because when social workers go on strike, nobody cares. When teachers go on strike, the middle classes are really upset, right? So social workers have no union power or anything, so they're not as well paid, I think, as some of other equivalent professions. So I don't have a pension. I got a wife and 2 kids and a mortgage, right? So what am I going to do? So then I come across the opportunity of cryptocurrencies. Now I'm lucky that I got in a few years ago, when Bitcoin was much, much cheaper. Okay, so now I'm set up. I'm taken care of in a way that wouldn't happen before unless I'd taken a much lower job, which meant well-paid job, which meant I wouldn't been able to educate my kids at home and stuff, because both my wife and I would have had to work all the time and stuff in order to keep things going. Plus also we would have got paid in a currency, the pound, that is losing value. So by the time I retire, the spending power of the pound is going to be much, much lower than when I was earning it. So there's that, right? So that's what, the super uber rich are getting richer and richer and richer. The middle classes and the poor, tragically, are always crushed, but they're being crushed even more by lockdown, I think, right? And then the middle classes are just getting poorer anyway. They're being crushed by lockdown. And, it's a process that's been going on for ages and ages and ages, since we've had neoliberalism as the dominant economic political philosophy. In April 2017, I bought this particular cryptocurrency called Vergecoin.
Right.
I bought 250,000 coins.
Okay.
For $30.
Okay.
Right. I mean, it was that cheap. It was about 250,000 coins for $30. It was what's called 7 satoshis. So Bitcoin is divisible to 8 decimal places.
Okay.
Satoshis. So I bought 7 satoshis. The 8th decimal place was 1 Verge coin.
Okay. So that's like that's the least amount that you could, right?
Yeah, like 1 penny is the least you can divide a pound in, right?
Yeah.
So I bought 250,000 in April 2017.
Is that worth like 250,000 now? Is it worth a pound now?
Here's what happened. So we're in a cyclical bull run, which happens every 4 years because of the Bitcoin algorithm.
Okay.
I think I might have covered that in the first video. I don't know, right?
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it something to do with the halving?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Bitcoin goes up in value, goes up in value, goes up in value first. Then Ethereum starts catching up. And that's the second largest cryptocurrency. Then the other cryptocurrencies by market cap, like currently Polkadot and Cardano and Ripple and XLM and stuff like that.
They all get dragged up by it as well.
Yeah, like a Mexican wave.
Yeah.
Right. And then what happens is, as Bitcoin goes up and Ethereum goes up and the medium market cap goes up,
and your Vergecoin at the bottom,
people start coming in. They start coming in and they start bargain hunting. Right now, it's easier to double $30 than it is to double $1,000.
Yeah.
So,
although, had you invested $1,000 the last time you came on in Bitcoin, it would now be worth well over $2,000.
Yes, and in December, had I bought a whole bunch of, well, I actually did. I bought a bunch of mid-cap market coins. And some of them have increased by over 400%.
Yeah.
Since then, right? In the space of 6 weeks. Now, so I bought 250,000 of these Verge coins. So Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum goes up, the other market cap goes up, and then these small altcoins, they shoot up like crazy. At one point, my $30 was worth $92,000.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you.
Holy
I am not kidding you. There is an insane amount of money to be made.
You turned $30 into 92 grand.
Yes. And then my wife, we should sell it. And I was foolish and greedy. I didn't understand market cycles. And I just come into the space and everything, right? No, it'll keep going higher, right? And actually people started cashing out when it,
yes, they would, yeah.
And it crashed down. And when it got to 1,200, I cashed out. So $30 became $1,200, which is still not bad, right? Now, but then
you just got to wait for the wave to come around again, won't you? Because that's just a new.
I have lost money. On projects that are scams.
Yeah.
And projects that are shams. Like they just failed.
Mm-hmm.
They tried really hard, or did everything right. They weren't out to scam anybody, but it just didn't work out. A failed business venture, right?
Okay.
So the bull run that's coming now, that we're in the early stages of, is going to be much, much larger and bigger and more powerful than the one of 2017. In 2017, you had the really, really early adopters, people like myself and stuff, and people came in before me. And then towards the end of 2017, my cousins get interested and my family members and friends get interested. But then when Bitcoin crashed down from 20,000 to 3,200, they lost interest. Oh, it's nothing. And now it's $30,000 again. My cousins are getting interested again. They already know about it. They've been watching me. So they're a bit savvy about it now, and hopefully they understand market cycles. So cousins, if you're watching this, okay, we're in for the long term. Come back, talk to me in 10 years, 11 years, right? Tell me how your cryptocurrencies are doing. So there's going to be I think it's going to be much, much bigger. And one of the reasons it's going to be much, much bigger is because there's a larger awareness, but there's institutional investments moving in.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about this because Tesla have bought 1.5 billion in Bitcoin. I sent my missus, because my missus bought some Bitcoin at my request. She's very clever, you see. She saw our interview and went, "I'll buy some Bitcoin," and made some. I didn't make anything. I got no money, you see, to invest. So that's the way it is. But I forgot what I was going on.
Tesla. You were saying about Tesla.
Yeah, they invested. And I sent her a message. Let me just find it, because this was huge, I thought, anyway. Yeah, it was in Financial Times yesterday. Bitcoin hits record as US financial giants embrace cryptocurrency. BNY Mellon and MasterCard unveil new services within 24 hours of each other. So this happened yesterday, which is why there was a bump yesterday, and it went up to a new high.
Yeah.
It went up to a new high, was it last week, because of the news that Tesla invested 1.5 billion and Elon Musk went giddy for it, and Dogecoin on the internet, and that was very funny as well. Yeah. Not for people who were locked out of their accounts, but more and more is going to happen. And sooner or later, I mean, if you're going to be able to link your Bitcoin account to your MasterCard account, surely fiat money's over.
Yes and no. Yes and no, right?
Does it need more of us? Does it need a sort of a tipping point of people to adopt it, or is it just going to?
Because I think the banks will strike back. Central banks hate competition.
They already are, aren't they?
And how I think they're striking back, right? And this could be a whole other conversation. Is the Great Reset, that they want to impose the Great Reset?
Okay, explain to me the Great Reset, because I wish you had so much. Rich, I could talk to you for hours. I wish you had so much longer. Really could, because we could go off to all sorts of avenues.
We could, Gordon. We could.
So this is what the World Economic Forum have mentioned it, the reset and whatever. This is nobody's going to have any possessions, and we're going to all live in a John Lennon record. Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Yeah, I'm sure Nancy Pelosi's going to love you taking her $150 million off her.
Well, we're not going to own anything, and we'll be happy. However, somebody's going to own all the stuff there is. The uber rich are going to own all the stuff there is, right? And they'll be very, very happy.
Yeah, the uber rich who just put all the last of the fiat money in the Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, where it's coming in is through central bank digital currencies. Central bank digital currencies are horrible. There will be no freedom with central bank digital currencies.
So who's got a? Have the IMF got a cryptocurrency, or will they?
No, I don't know about the IMF. It wouldn't surprise me if they were, but the European ECB are developing a central bank digital currency. The Bank of England is developing one. China's developing one. The US is developing one. And what that is, so Bitcoin's a completely open system. You don't need anybody's permission to go in and out of it. Central bank digital currencies will be on the blockchain, but it will be a closed system that they will be able to run. Every time you go shopping, your purchases, whatever you buy, will be known. If, for example, you send money to a political organization that the government or the central bank doesn't like, they can shut your account. They can retrieve funds from your account. They can impose negative interest rates.
They can do all the stuff that they're doing right now, in other words.
Right? So, nobody
they can print more crypto.
Yeah. Nobody wants to give up power. Nobody wants to give up power. Now, I think this, and this is a whole other conversation that I don't want to get into right now. Yeah. I think this ties in with the politics of the lockdown and the coronavirus and the sham news that we...
Well, Rich, a lot of people do, all right? A lot of people do. Now, I know you wanted to talk about this, the politics of the lockdown, and if you want, we can do. Mm-hmm. It's the timing, isn't it? It's the timing of it all that people are like, hold on a minute. It's the timing of it all with the lockdowns and why they're not listening to science, and they say they're listening to science, but they're not. The scientists said last year, well, okay, what we need is for no ridiculous stuff and no knee-jerk reactions and what have you. And the very next day, the government went, we're shutting pubs at 10 p.m. There was no scientific evidence for that whatsoever. But they just did it. The day after, the scientists were on the BBC saying no knee-jerk reactions, no ridiculous. We need to be calm heads, and that the government did it the next day. Yeah. And people like me are looking at it, going, "Well, you're giving the conspiracy theorists, as you call them, all the fuel in the world here, aren't you?"
But Gordon, I don't think it's so. One, governments are clumsy, large, mendacious, stupid, inefficient organizations.
Yes.
Right? But the other side of it is, I would say, follow the money. Who's got crushed? Who's got wealthy? How come a supermarket store can open, but not a small, I can go buy clothes at Asda and Tesco, but not at a small independent local retailer?
Billionaires have tripled their wealth in the last 12 months.
Yeah. And then people have, the poor and the middle class, they've been crushed, small businesses. So what's happened is people have had their independence taken away from them.
Okay.
People are increasingly dependent upon government largesse, and that a dependent population are easier to control. So then what we could have is, at some point down the road, UBI, universal basic income, via a central bank digital currency, and then we're controlled.
Okay. Well, as if we take control of our own finances and decouple from their system, we basically can fight back, and they can't control us the way they are. Because
this is the promise. Let me just say something. I want to bring it back to cryptocurrencies. This is the promise of decentralization and censorship resistant technology, like blockchain, like also the censorship resistant vlogging platforms like BitTube and Library. But there's a VPN. Now take a note of this one, right? A decentralized VPN called Sentinel.co. Now I hold Cent tokens, right? People should do their own due diligence and
what's it called, mate? Sentinel?
Sentinel.co.
Okay.
Now a traditional VPN, you got a handful of servers here and there.
Yeah.
Right? Like one of the big ones, they'll have servers in every different country and stuff. But they're prone to regulatory capture. They're closed source systems, so we don't know if there's any backdoors in there that the NSA is sneaking in and stuff like that, right?
Which there probably are.
Yep. And we have to trust them. Now, an open source, decentralized VPN system like Sentinel can't be censored. There's no single point of failure. It's distributed. And the information's completely distributed, like on the BitTorrent network. And governments haven't been able to stop BitTorrent and file sharing. Now, something like Sentinel allows people to preserve their information and their privacy.
Without anybody being able to see it.
Without anybody knowing, right? Plus also Sentinel allows you to earn a passive income as well, because you rent out your bandwidth to the decentralized VPN system. And they're about to launch on mainnet in a few weeks' time. It's pretty much imminent, right? It's available for free right now on Android desktop and iOS. You can actually use it for free at no cost. That's the test program. The mainnet, there will be a charge, but you can also earn money from it. Now, one of the things is I got some cent tokens in March 2020.
Okay.
$250 worth.
Not 250,000.
Not 250,000. Not $250,000 worth. I wish. Those $250 worth of cent tokens are now worth $2,500 worth.